Report for February 16th, 2024. Let's get right to it because there's a lot going on this week. Mortgage applications down 3% week over week. Refinances down 2%. Not surprising because interest rates have ticked up a little bit, and we do find that interest kind of wanes when people hear that interest rates are going up. Jobless claims, those filing for the first time were down 8,000, but continuing claims were up 30,000. So this does speak to the fact that people are having difficulty securing a new job after they've been let go. What's interesting, I think, is that as we continue to hear about more companies doing layoffs, it really hasn't been translating into the jobs reports. So an interesting disconnect there between what we're hearing and what we're seeing. Retail sales did come out for the month of January, did show that they were down 0.8%, which is interesting because the expectation was that sales would only be down 0.1%. So this was a big change. Now, one thing I want to bring up here is that a lot of people are taking advantage of this buy now, pay later. So you have 12 or 24 months interest free, a period of time where you don't have to pay that debt back. 85% of people do not get that debt paid off before that interest starts to kick in. And the use of this type of payment is up 12% since 2022. Only 15% of people actually pay off before the interest payments kick in. So people are really actually spending more money long term because it's not getting paid off before the interest kicks in. You can see from the numbers here, the average consumer spent $1,100 over the holidays. That credit card debt became an installment debt when they did the pay now, the purchase now, pay later. So rather than paying $32 a month as a revolving debt on their credit card, it became an installment debt on that program, and they'll end up paying $105 later on because they weren't able to pay it off before the interest came due. So interesting to note there. Numbers for Zillow in the month of January about the housing market came out. Average days on market's 29 days. So still, I think, reasonably quick. I think that's a reasonable number to expect. 26% of homes sold over ask, which is very interesting. I've seen a lot of this lately on Facebook with agents posting that they got, their client's house sold. I saw one today that was 40,000 over list. I saw one yesterday that was 72,000 over list. So interesting that the market hasn't really hit its peak based on interest rates coming down and what the expectation is as people move into the market when those interest rates came down. As I did report last week that 83% of people are waiting for the rates to come down. So interesting that we're seeing this now with this over ask, over list ask price. New listings have increased and inventory was up from December, up 1.5%, but we are still 40% lower than pre-pandemic levels. So inventory continues to be a problem. Now, this week we had the CPI report, inflation, consumer price index. The core number up 0.4%. This is what the feds are they always track these core numbers. You can see the impact came predominantly from shelter and then motor vehicles at 1.4%. So still seeing inflation tick up month over month, but we've held kind of steady or have been coming down just a little bit year over year. This is the first time it was unchanged rather than going down for the past several months. Also, today was the producer price index. This is wholesale inflation. The core number up 0.5%. So that was actually a big increase, not expected there. But you can see if you look at the charts, the portfolio management and legal services were big contributors to that. And it makes us wonder what that portfolio management with the stock market doing so well last year, did the portfolio managers decide that now was a good time to increase their rates because the stock market was doing so well and people were doing well in their portfolios? Hard to say. But the uptick in legal services, not sure what's driving that either, but interesting that that was one of the things that did drive up those numbers. And I did want to show you this chart. We have talked about this repeatedly week over week. But again, you can see this is a household formation. So this is the number of households entering the market that need housing versus what is actually available and completed. And you can see back from 2007, this is right before the bubble, you had this overwhelming amount of consumers, housing available to consumers, but we just didn't have the people to buy. That has shifted now since 2017, been a continual problem that household formations have exceeded and outpaced what the actual availability of housing is. And there's nothing to suggest that that's going to change. So this is why housing prices continue to be supported, why there is no forthcoming bubble, and why we will see, if interest rates come down, that will create a lot of demand and complications in the market for you as a buyer. If you're holding out to purchase until rates come down, you're really going to be competing against a lot of people. So that's where we're at right now. Now let's take a look at the markets. We are down 32 basis points for the day. So the market not responding well to the PPI report today. And if you look back a couple of days, that big red bar was the CPI report, and the reaction to that report, just not good. The last high we hit was back in December of 27, and we've continued to kind of go down from there. We hit a couple of trends upward, but we're just not getting back to where we needed to be. So unfortunately, rates continue to go up a little bit. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I do appreciate when you like my videos. Feel free to share them with anybody that might be interested in the market for maybe either purchasing or refinancing at this point. Refinances can make a lot of sense if you work the numbers. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I'll see you next week.